They've got a purpose where they have, like, they keep the place tidy, but they're near enough vermin, to be honest with you. he can do the job, he's absolutely great, but see, like, as I said it in grasping a farm flight, mechanically wise, like, horrendous.
Knock him down a peg, that's it.
Honestly.
Essentially, essentially you're like Robin Hood. You're taken from the rich and given to the poor. By doing that.
Technically, aye. There's ways around everything.
No. And that's why you always take a second envelope in case you do get caught. And then you say, we could do that, or you could just forget you ever saw anything, mate.
So for years and years and years, there's been a John Deere man. It's John Deere, Class Forager. It's what everybody's had for years. My grandpa had. Class was the best. But there's so much more competition out there now.
I've been Cammy.
I've been Iona.
And we're all fed by farmers. Hello and welcome to the Fed by Farmers podcast with me, Cammy Wilson.
And me, Iona Murray.
This week we are going to be joined by a big time farming contractor. He's the first contractor we've had on the show. It's a bit of a Grassmen podcast this week. But there's a lot of interesting stuff in here. I think he speaks quite openly about some numbers and things like that. So that'll be good. We're talking about Michael Woods, of course. You'll have seen that in the title of the video. What have we got to do first, Iona?
Thank our sponsors, of course.
Who are they?
They are Crystalyx and Tracesure by Animax.
Yes, shout out to Crystalyx and Tracesure by Animax. I got a nice message from shout out to Rab Lawson from East of Scotland Farmers. He sent me a nice message the other day saying that someone had emailed in asking if they supplied Crystalyx because they wanted Crystalyx because they heard they sponsored Fed by Farmers, the podcast. So if you're the person listening, you sent that email into East of Scotland Farmers. Thanks for that.
So nice.
Rab kept it confidential, of course. I couldn't see who it actually was, but thanks for that. And of course, Tracesure, bolusing should be done mostly by now, but we've got some ewe lambs. What we're doing is we're going to bolus them. So they'll get Crystalyx and then we're going to bolus them once we've scanned them.
Ewe lambs?
No, I'm telling a lie. That's not the plan. We're going to bolus them. I try to remember what I decided I was going to do there. We're going to bolus them when we fructose them.
Right.
Before the tup goes out. And then that way, what we'll do is, you might only bolus, well, there is lamb boluses, but those big boluses that are behind us here, they are for adult sheep over 40 kilos. So, and you should really only be, I suppose it's not an exact science, but the best advice is like you want to tup ewe lambs over 40 kilos. So what we'll do is anything over 40 kilos, we'll get a bolus and go to the tup.
Okay.
Any that we've got that are under 40 kilos just won't go at the tup. And we won't bolus them either. In fact, we'll just cull them. They'll just go into the...
Do you always tup ewe lambs?
No. Just losing the plot.
Yeah, interesting.
Well, there's real merit falling against it in terms of... Like, you run this lamb over the winter, like when it could easily be producing you a lamb. And I
Are they fully mature?
What do you mean?
Like... They're fine to rear a lamb.
Yeah, a hog. Yeah. But I always say, like, if they weren't, then nature wouldn't.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
You know what I mean? If they're in, nature wouldn't have them producing a lamb. But the problem I think we've certainly I've run into the past, and I think most people run into when they're lambing hogs is they try to use something like a Beltex or, I mean, even a Charlie lamb can be quite a strong lamb, or one of these kind of squarer, more solid terminal sires. It just makes lambing hogs hard. Whereas I know of people that run Shetland tups over the hogs.
Yeah, keep them small.
Because every lamb's a bonus, and it's so easy on the hog. It's easy to spit it out, and it's easy to rear it. It doesn't take a lot of milk.
Yeah,
it's a small lamb. So we're trying. We have a Ultimate from Graham Lofthouse that was in.
Yeah.
Cut an image of Graham Lofthouse in there. Graham Lofthouse. I bought an Ultimate from him, which is like an easy care kind of strange looking thing, very narrow headed and narrow shoulders. So one of them, and then I've also kept a heap of tup lambs entire out of my Shetland Cross Chevets back to the Clin.
Right,
Absolute mongrels. Absolute mongrels. But white-faced mongrels. And I'm just going to throw them. So I've got about 20 of them.
Wow.
So I'm just going to throw them out with the ewe lambs.
Great.
And just see what happens. And the idea is you just get a wee, narrow, white-faced lamb.
Easy lamb.
That's easy to lamb and easy to rear is the most important thing. It doesn't take a lot out the sheep. And hopefully I'm going to make lambing ewe lambs great again.
I back you.
Yeah,
I think
so
you
that's my plan. Are we going to get a Friday chat this week?
I think we should. There's a lot to catch up on.
Yeah, I've got to talk about a wedding. I'm literally just back late last night from my wedding, so we'll talk about that for Friday's one because I need time just to get over the stress of it all and
Stressful.
Yeah, really process it. I think it's too raw. It's too raw to talk about it just now. Oh my God. Even the drive home last night.
Did they sleep?
I slept for about 20 minutes and then just was awake the rest of the time. But it wasn't too bad, but just the screaming and the trauma of the whole thing. And that's just Lizzie, I'm thinking of. Yeah, but we'll talk about that. But anyway, Michael Woods is coming up. He's a local contractor. You'll hear he actually has big links to where we're based here at Magby Hill Farm. And yeah, he's running a big outfit. We've got lots of images slotted in. If you're listening on audio, you of course won't get the benefit of those images, but if you do want to switch over and watch it at YouTube, or if you are one of the creeps watching us on YouTube just now, we see you there. We see you. There's lots of good images and shots in this podcast, so enjoy. Michael J. Woods, thanks for joining us today. We're just straight into it there. I didn't even give you a warning. That was about to start. Just a big clap. I'm only saying, as Michael J. Woods, I only say that because I see that on the merch all the time.
Yep.
I think you sponsor Comores Young Farmers, is that right?
The Comores Young Farmers, yep.
Yeah. So I'm bad for jumping in and getting ahead of myself. Just tell us who you are and what you do.
What I do. So, Michael Woods, and it's mainly contracting. Ag contracting is what we do. Silage, slurry, baling, anything really to do with farm work we're associated with. Do a lot of other stuff over and above that. Plant haulage with a lorry, gritting for the council, and also involved in construction work as well, with trying to utilise farm machinery that we've got for farmers. Try and use it like it's like an all year round thing, but it's a good thing for the winter work. Because the farming in the winter is just the way they've got slurry storage and things like that for 6 months now. There really is no farm work in the winter, so it's just trying to make things work in the winter.
All year round.
Aye, so the business, it's quite how do you explain it?
Sorry, we've got an hour.
It's one of the things that, for me, and what we do, farming is what I love. I've been brought up in farming, it's what I love doing, but there's not enough work there all year round in farming to keep me as a contractor and my guys going. It's physically impossible. If I was to concentrate on farming, I probably wouldn't survive it, to be honest. I need my gritting with the council. I need the construction work. I need the lorry work, because it all comes together and makes the whole thing work, to be honest with you. The machinery that I'm using, it's all good kit, but that ultimately it's not funded by everything else, but it saves me robbing money from the contracting to keep all these guys going over the winter.
So you employ people, how many people do you employ?
There will be, I've got 4 full-time, 3 self-employed. So it's there's more comes in the summer, which it kind of works, to be honest with you. There's guys that are happy to go away, do their own thing in the winter, and I've got guys that come in the summer, and it kind of works. But it's still fairly hard to keep the guys going all the time, as well as myself, because I hate doing nothing, to be honest with you. Yeah. It's quite annoying, because quite often I've got to keep all my boys going, and I'm sitting not doing very much. I do have some of my paperwork on myself. I've got my partner helps me with that now, and give me a bit of drive to do that, because that's a big thing that lets me down. But
paperwork.
That's the worst.
It's because we don't want to
Relentless.
do it.
I hate it.
You just want to work.
Yeah.
I know it's paperwork, but
do some practical.
I don't do it. I'm so bad for it. And it's this year probably more so than any other year, just with the way the weather was. Normally we'll go right through first cut silage, and there'll be a couple of weeks where you're kind of caught up. There'll be boys about slurry and doing odd jobs, and I'll go invoicing. Well, this year with the way the weather was, that didn't happen, because you had 2 or 3 mental days. Yeah. And then these other days that were like torrential rain, and I wouldn't ask the guys to go outside and work in that. So you're trying to keep them going and other work in the yard.
Jobs that need
all my time I should have been doing paperwork. I was out there keeping 5, 6, 7 guys going.
Yeah.
So I'd like to hear more about your background. So you were born into a farm?
Yeah, so believe it or not, we were sitting around my grandpa owned it.
Really?
Yeah, so this was like Magby Hill Farm, was my grandpa's farm, dairy farm.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
quite some time ago.
Same as, remember James Nisbet was in?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so the same family.
So James and my cousin. So
Right, okay.
yeah, my grandpa, he obviously owned all of this, and Dairy Farm, Uncle Matthew, he done the contracting side. Uncle Jim, he obviously had his own farm, doing the butchering. My Uncle Andrew, they had Balgrim Mill at the time. That was sold like a long time ago. So that's going to be I've brought into farming, to be honest with you, and it's something I've always loved doing. I was always more interested in the machinery side. My brother was more interested in, Matthew Woods.
Yeah.
So he was always more in Flash. He was more interested in the cow side of things. So I think you always find that with brothers. You always find there's somebody more interested in the cattle side, and there's somebody interested in the machinery. So
He's more interested in cattle, but he has all these sheep. Does he not like sheep?
he's into sheep as well.
I don't know if he likes sheep right enough when you ever ask him.
I don't like sheep. I like
Usually lets a few expletives out.
they've got a purpose, so they have. Like they keep the place tidy, but they're nearly enough vermin, to be honest with you.
Proper tractor cattle man.
Honestly,
yeah.
they're a nightmare.
Can you keep them in?
The
They just want
hassles.
to die.
Aye,
Yeah.
and even the hassles I get at silage time, you go, because I've been sheep on all winter, and I'm getting metal detections around every end rig because I've been coming through fences and there's wire everywhere, and it's like, fucking sheep.
Oh yeah, no, I thought they're just pulling it through everywhere. Yeah. Aye.
They're an absolute nightmare. So like that's kind of really where that came from. I always wanted to be involved in that.
And was the contracting business, was that already set up? Did you sort of take
no.
that on?
So there was not really any room for me in contracting. I worked in the railway before. So and I went on that, and I was self-employed at the time, and I was making good money on the railway. So my first tractor was bought as more of a tax avoidance as anything else. It was to try and get some tax money back, and it was a hobby. So I bought it, and before I knew it, I was out working on construction sites. So as time went on, I bought another one, and there was more construction work, and it just kept coming. It was a big pipeline job, went right through from Glasgow right down to Dundonald.
I remember that. Yep.
And I got involved in that, and that was just pure luck. I went in, I spoke to the site manager, and I asked him, like, you need tractors, and just that he actually didn't need me at that point, but put me on to somebody else. So I was through Airdrie working for nearly a year, but just one tractor and a man.
Just you driving it, or just sent a man through?
I had
with
a
the
man
tractor?
on it, because I was still doing my railway, so I continued to do the railway.
Far better to make 40, 50 pound an hour, or whatever it is in the railway, and pay a man 20.
Aye,
Yeah,
so I done well in the railway, because like I worked day shift and night shift, so back then it was quite strict. You weren't meant to be doing that, but I did it. Like I worked 6 nights, 5 days.
Yeah.
And what were you actually doing on the railway?
On the railway, so it was all again machinery. So
Right.
any sort of machinery that you could put on the track, be it diggers, lorries, genie booms, the tickets for it all to go on and do that. So you'll be changing rail, you'll be like drainage on the rail, like Vactor units, you'll be in there jetting drains,
Okay.
clearing drains. So it was all over the country. Like I've been from as far north in Scotland to Brighton and Kent. Like that was my job.
And you would operate the machines?
Yeah. I would drive them on track, or
Is this QTS?
QTS, yep. Aye, so it was quite an opportunity there. Done well at QTS.
That'd be one of the worst jobs though, to operate the machines, isn't it? Because it's harder to sleep.
Once
I maybe being unfair there. I think it's not so much just sleeping. It's the thing. I think I'm led to believe the great thing about a railway is so often you get an early finish, but you get paid your full shift, which is one of the amazing things. But maybe
you're
not if
kind of
you're actually-
short. You take the good with the bad. There's like it's all to do with possession times.
Yeah.
So you're working anywhere near Glasgow. It's a short possession time. So you're onto a flyer like midweek.
Because you
you're 8
literally
hours.
can only work those hours.
You're only maybe actually working for 2 hours.
Yeah.
You're sitting there for 11 o'clock. You're on at 1, maybe 2 in the morning. Back off for 4 to
So
hand it on back.
why is that?
It's just by the time the last train finishes, so you work, and they make sure the track's clear, and they've got a possession in place, make it a safe working zone.
Right, okay.
By the time they do all that sort of stuff, and then they've got it's the reverse. So whenever you come off track, they've got to make sure everything's
safe
reset
again.
and safe again, because there's like axle counters and things like that. So everything's all got to get reset, ready for the train starting again. So whereas you could go to Girvan, that's a long shift. You get told you're going to Girvan or down on that line. That was like, oh, for fuck's sake. It's like you knew you were in for a long,
Yeah.
full 10-hour shift at the weekend. It was And it doesn't sound like much, but when you're used to doing the short
Just
possession
2
stuff,
2 hours,
to
yeah.
go to that, like,
Yeah.
so aye. So we done the railway. That was sort of the night shift stuff, and then I done the day shift on the lorry, the Hiab lorry at the time. So I drove the Hiab 8-wheeler. So that was my Monday to Friday job. I probably shouldn't be saying any of this, to be honest with you. That was
fine.
back then. That's all changed now.
When you go and look back at the books, they'll say like Michael Woods on day shift, Matthew Woods on night shift.
Pretty much.
Aye. Just M Woods.
M Woods.
M Woods of like,
So-
Flash, you need to take the heat for this, mate.
But that was back then, so they kind of go back and give them into bother for that now.
Fine.
And the rules have all changed for that. That
It was
doesn't
different
happen.
in the 80s. It was different in the 80s.
So that was going to be I probably not probably that's where I made my money to start with to start the business. There was no way into farming at that point, like contracting wise. Contractors were all I've got a bit older now, it's a bit easier, so I'm giving up. But at that point, there was no way into contracting. Yeah. So I found that out. I bought a set of mowers, front rear mowers, thinking that I've got my tractor. I want to go and do a bit of cutting. It's a good job. You just didn't get into anyway. It was impossible.
Is that right?
Aye.
Just like contractors would never. Well, contractors would have their own mowers, but just contractors would do the whole job, so the farmer would never need you. Is that kind of thing?
That was my understanding. I thought if I've got a set of mowers, I'll go out there and I'll be a bit of cutting and just try and build this up. But it's not as easy as that. Like contractors can provide a full service. Like they'll cut it, they'll roll up, they'll chop it, they'll bale it, they'll do it the full job. So a farmer giving me that job, the only way I'm going to get it is if a farmer's charging whatever they charge, a contractor, whatever they're charging, and then I'd need to go and do it at half the price just to try and get it. Well, probably at that point when I was younger, you think, I don't care. That's why I go cutting.
That's why I work.
That's why I go cutting. And I think that's probably a problem right through, even now, anybody that tries to come into it, it's probably because they love doing it and they want to do it, but they'll come in and do it at whatever.
Yeah, run at a
price.
loss
Aye,
just for the sake of
Yeah.
But it's only
just
probably
for the sake of being the
it's-
big man in the tractor.
Yeah, but as time goes on, you get understanding of how business works, and I can stand back and I can see some folk doing it, and you think, what are you doing? Like it's suicide, especially now with the prices of stuff compared to back then.
Yeah.
And it's scary, so it is.
Crystalyx Extra High Energy feed blocks have been providing high energy supplementation to ewes, lambs and rams in the UK since 1978. Packed full of protein, vitamins, minerals and trace elements, Crystalyx Extra High Energy has been proven to increase live lamb numbers and improve lamb daily live weight gain at a cost of only 4 to 7 pence per ewe per day. To view the full Crystalyx range and find your nearest stockist, visit crystalyx-global.com.
Then, so I done that, and I done all my construction stuff. Just grew arms and legs. I had tractors hired in for everywhere. I think at one point I had 4 of my own. I had 4 hired in. I had one off Comores Mains. I had one off another guy, George. I can't remember where the rest of them came from, but I had tractors hired in. I just went daft buying trailers. Trailers is probably what made the money. The tractor and driver hire didn't really make the money.
Yeah.
At the time, it made something, but the trailer hire, you buy the trailers and you hire them at a weekly hire rate.
What, just the trailer without the tractor?
It goes with the tractor.
Yeah,
so,
okay, but that's an extra done
so
on the top.
yeah, so you've got a tractor on construction. On a farm, you hire a tractor and trailer, and that's just in the rate. But on construction side of things, you've got a tractor, an operator, and then you hire in attachments. So it's easier, you keep it separately. So if they want a dump trailer this week, but a loader next week, it's dead easy to swap them in about. They might have 2 trailers on hire, so you just a trailer hire. Trailers don't depreciate. Trailers are really good.
Don't break so easy.
No, just
More
tyres
robust.
and hoses, for example. So it's a really good thing to be involved in, is the trailer side of things. I've had trailers paid twice over on these things, and the second-hand value in a trailer is really, really good.
And how much would a trailer be?
So a basic dump trailer, 14-ton dump trailer might cost you 12 grand just now, 12, 13 grand. Will that be hired out at sort of 250 a week, 250 quid a week? So it doesn't maybe sound a lot, but I had a job there meant to be for 2-3 weeks.
£1,000 a month.
Aye, it's quite a wee bit. I meant to have a job for 2 or 3 weeks, and it started over a year ago. And the old fella Mick that works with me, he was on there for 14 months.
Yeah.
7 days a
He
week.
should have just bought one himself.
Aye, pretty much. It's But a lot of it comes down to, it's just, it wasn't, for me, that was a gamble. I bought all this stuff, and I'm like, what have I done? My railway money's funding this. If I didn't have that money, then I wouldn't have been able to do that. But that railway money funded buying all this stuff, but it did paid off. Like but it could have went the other way.
But when you say it's funded it, you mean that your good books from the money you earn in the railway lets you get finance on it? I know you said you bought the first tractor, but you must be financed.
The tractors were financed at the time. The trailers at that point, I was just buying them.
Yeah.
So you're just paying for the trailers.
So much are you making a week on the railway back then?
Back then, after tax, because they took my tax at source, 20% through this. Well, it was self-employed that I was with QTS.
All right, okay.
But they still took, because it was CIS, the construction industry scheme thing, they took 20% off it. So
why is that? Is that because they don't trust the boys to pay their tax?
I think it is Mr. Taxman that done that.
Because the boys will never do the paperwork to do their tax.
I think so. So they took it off at source, so then it was for me to claim it back. So that's when I'd go and I'd utilise, spend like buying tractors, trailers and such to get tax money back. So I would, £1,500-1,600 a week is what I would have got back then. That was quite a while ago. I mean, I'm talking, I've started this, 2014. So previous to that, it was 5 years I've done it for, so it's quite a while ago I'd done the railway. I missed out a lot, going to pubs, night suit. I didn't do any of that. Yeah. I was either night shift, day shift, or sleeping in my van.
Yeah.
I went between jobs and I was sleeping in the back of my van, so I would. So it's quite a big thing. So yeah, I would buy the trailers and then hire them out and get the money back out of that. But that could have went horribly wrong. Can I bought all the trailers? I'm talking buying 3, 4, 5 trailers.
Yeah.
And I'm hiring in. I'm also hiring in because obviously you can't go and buy them all at once. So you're hiring, and that I could have fell flat on my face. Can their jobs could have just stopped like that?
Well, what would have happened if you'd been at your limit during COVID, for example? You know, if they'd pulled the pin during that. I mean, how did that affect you?
I was fortunate enough. I had work.
I mean, the farm work never stopped, obviously, but the construction work, did it keep going?
It did kind of shut down. There was jobs happening, but it was COVID. You didn't really see the impact of that till 6 months down the line, because everything runs. You know the way things work. You invoice the now, and you get paid in 30, 60, 90, 120 days, depending on the customer. It could be next year, depending on the customer.
When he phones you to come, you see it coming back bank, again, and then the phone rings on. Can you come and do my silage?
To be fair, I've got good customers, so I would say majority of my customers are very, very good, which is another fortunate thing.
But you guys know who you are.
Pretty much. So, but yeah, when you go back to we was talking about that.
During COVID, it's 6 months.
So during COVID, so that I didn't see the impact of that until later on that year.
Okay.
When things are quiet, at that point I didn't have so many folk on the books, so I didn't get any help with paying their wages. There was all that help, and the only thing I did take at the time was a bounce back loan, because it was there to take.
Oh, we all did,
right? But I then paid it back. I didn't need it. And I paid it back because there was I bought my loading shovel for doing my silage.
Yeah.
So
for anyone wondering, that's where you get the free gelee.
Pretty much,
right?
Yeah. Pretty much.
Well, it's a big, massive. Anyone, I'll just throw this in. Anyone that wants to see a bit more of and visualise. I mean, we'll rip some clips off Grassmen to put in here of the loading shovel and things we're talking about as we go. But you've done Grassmen and Farm Flicks, and this loading shovel is insane. It's just like a massive monster forklift thing, like, isn't it? It's just a massive beast of a thing.
It's the only way to do it.
Yeah.
When I first bought that machine, that and a few customers said, "No, that's not coming here. That is far too big. It's far too heavy." But it's the one thing that every farmer or every customer will moan about is compaction.
Yeah.
Roll that pit. So you've got 2 tractors here, and they're rolling away. But equally, when you're rolling it, compaction, it's weight.
Yeah.
So
you can go over it a million times what we like thing, but it's...
They still put the same silage in, so it was my argument at the time, where you're still going to put that 200 acre of silage in that pit with the 2 tractors. It's just going to be higher.
Yeah.
So my loading shovel, we'll put that in there, compact it from the start. You're still going to put that 200 acre silage in there. It's just maybe not going to be as high time I finished. Aye.
And does it make better silage?
Definitely.
Do you know a guy, I was literally on the podcast, do you know Andrew Wright from Farm Theory? Do you ever see him on TikTok? He's a dairy farmer.
Don't think so, no.
No, right? But he's a geek, like, and he's really sciencey. Like he does like 5 cuts of silage and analyses it all and stuff like that. And he's big on talking about, you know, compaction and the importance of all that for your silage. And he uses a thing that's like, it's like a big roller.
Rollers, yep.
I think it's called a compactor, maybe.
It is a compactor. They call it a silage compactor, and it's just a big roller with it's like thin discs.
Yeah. Do you fill it with water or anything? No, is it just it's the weight of it as it is?
Some of them are ballasted. It does work if you're working with a tractor and butt rake.
It's just not as
I
good
would
as...
say they all work it out. So we've got 750 wide tyres on a loading shovel. So they work it out. I think it's per square inch or per square foot is how they...
Pressure.
I don't know how that's like way above.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do that. But I can only go with the feedback off of farmers when they try and take their silage back out the pit with a shear grab. It is absolutely solid. I mean, you can see it in the layers. It is tight. And that's equally where your silage is made. The tighter you make that silage, and it's removing air.
Yeah.
So if there's air in there, that's when it goes off.
Yeah.
And that's whenever you start feeding your silage again in the winter, this is where you get like back heating because it's open.
And air can get through
Air
it.
can get through, so that's when it starts heating.
So if you've got it tight, it's like a shear face.
You put nice and tight and work with a shear grab. That's key. Some folk don't have shear grabs, so they just work with a bucket and they flick it out. But that all you're doing is you're loosening that silage, and as soon as you loosen that, that's when heating starts. You can put additive and things like that on it, but it's another cost if you can do it without additive.
I thought everybody put additive in their silage.
No, I've only got maybe 2 customers that do it. One religiously, first cut, second cut, always uses it, and I've got other ones that, depending on the year, this year, they used it just the way the silage was happening. It just wasn't brilliant, so they were kind of using it, but it's not a. For other folk used it and said it made no difference.
What is additive? What does it do? I mean, I know by the name that you add it to the
they
chopper,
call it bug, so it's meant to help ferment your silage.
Okay.
So, and it's meant to make it happen quicker, make the fermentation process happen a lot quicker as what it would just leave it to do it itself.
So it's like adding to like when you're making alcohol or something like that. You know, you add the bacteria to make it ferment.
Pretty much. So a lot of folk that want to use their silage quick, so you can put additive on and you can start feeding it within so many days.
How many days?
Christ.
I see some of these farmers like this year when it got really wet, they're putting their cattle in early and stuff and opening the clamps already, and it's like unbelievable how quick silage, like the grass becomes usable.
Definitely. Well, one
Like, can you do it in a fortnight?
Oh yeah, aye. There's days, aye. Like I'm pretty sure we done it for Hugh at Newlands, Hugh Montgomery at Newlands, and I'm sure it was 2-3 days, and they were back in it again.
What?
But so you stick the sheet over it, and then within 2 or 3 days it's fermented.
It's not that it's fermented, but it's safe enough to use.
Okay, it'll still be green though.
Aye, it was starting to turn. It turns quick. I mean,
I suppose
it
if you
turns
cut your grass
really
and you
quick.
leave it sitting. Yeah,
See if you do it, put the sheet over it and go back 2 or 4 days later, the top of your silage pit will be starting to have that kind of golden colour.
Yeah.
So it will, but...
And what would make it unsafe within that first 2 days?
I don't actually know. There must be something in the process it all happens. I don't know. It must be, whether it's acidic or what, and it's not good for the cow's gut or whatever. I'm not entirely... I'm fairly good at cutting it, chopping it, and putting it in it. But when it comes to knowing all like how it affects a cow, I don't know.
Yeah, you've got to be careful because as men, every time you learn something new, it pushes something old out your brain. So you've got to be careful you don't forget about something you actually need to know by learning other things. That's what I find. Stick to what you know.
To be honest, most folk generally will drop in this area the way it works, do first cut, and it's not opened again until the cows come in. Or more dairy farmers who they will be always given a wee bit of buffer feeding. The cows are out through the day, might be in at night, or they'll just when they're in getting milked, a wee bit of buffer feeding. The pit will be open again, but they'll maybe be using, when we have put first cut in, they're still using second or third cut to give a wee bit of buffer feeding. But it has happened that it's a wet summer, cows are in, and they're straight back into eating that. And it happened this year. We went back to Hughes at Newlands there, and normally maybe do 50 acre a third cut. we had to do 120 acre a third cut this year to fill back in what he'd used out of the first cut pit.
Just it was such a bad summer.
Aye, so it was crazy. It's obviously good enough for us in a way because it's more acres, but equally it's not so good for. That's probably a worrying thing for when farmers are having to bring their cows in through the summer.
Oh, it's because there's other costs with that too. Slurries and other, you've got slurry and other things to think about, and labour, I suppose, is a bit more intensive as well.
Labour is a cost, but your overheads are your biggest thing. I'd love to pay all my guys more money. I really would, but your overheads, like machinery costs, and all your other overheads like insurances and parts and everything, that has grown far higher than what wages have.
I know you've got national insurance contributions hitting you from the budget and all other things coming after employers as well.
I've not really looked into that too much, but I've.
To be fair, you might be all right if you're 4 full time. I think we said it was 5 employees was a small business, so it might be all right. But
they're trying to say, I need to keep I need full time guys, but I'm quite happy with the self-employed as well. Yeah. They come and they can also go and do some work for other folk, and it's less complicated.
There's no sick pay, no holiday pay.
Like you've got the pensions as well, it's mandatory. You've got to include all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
And full time now, used to be, if you work for somebody, you done what you're told, and that's how it worked. See now, the employee has got so much more power over the employer.
Yeah.
And there's good guys out there, and it's fine, but there's guys out there who know this. And
Sandra Nisbet you're talking about?
No. he's a lot into his own, so he is. He's a lot into his own. He's
to be fair, I'm give credit, I tell you. I never, I think it was either Farmflix or Grassman film, where or maybe it was just on his Snapchat or something I seen, and he'd done this pit, and it was like,
no, he's good.
I know nothing about grass or silage, as is evident in this podcast, but even I was like, that looks like
it's impressive. The problem is, but he knows he's good.
Aye,
so
he has that air about him. Aye, he has that air about him.
No, he is. He's good at it, and but that he can do the job. He's absolutely great. But see, as I said it in I think it was Grasping a Farmflix, mechanically wise, horrendous.
Knock him to the peg. That's it.
Honestly, for anybody that's ever want to employ Andrew Nisbet, he can absolutely no bother. But when it comes to, don't ask him to grease something or dip it for oil, because that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. Brought him back down to earth. But we'll talk on to, I suppose, the cost, what it actually does cost the farmer for silage, etc. But this big. What do you call it again? I call it like a loader.
So JCB loading shovel.
Loading shovel?
Yep.
What's the cost of a machine like that?
So at the time when I bought it, was 149,000 plus VAT, obviously.
To throw grass in a pit.
So
much money.
It's a lot of money, but at that point it was obviously a bit higher than price of a tractor. But most folk, it's always been a thing for years now, as foragers have got bigger and grass is getting faster, folk work with 2 tractors and butt rakes. So I was trying to eliminate that. It's hard. Credit's due. Andrew is fantastic at his job, but it's very hard to find guys like Andrew who, first of all, can do it, and second of all, want to do it. Not everybody wants to do that. So you've got to, one of the jobs that you've got to want to do it. If you want to do it, you'll do a good job, and you'll keep improving and trying to do the job right. So I had Andrew at the time who is, when he started working with me, wanted to do it. So whatever he wanted, I was going to buy. So when it came to work with 2 tractors, I need to find another good guy, and then they 2 have got to work together
and get on.
Yeah, so that's a hard job as well. So we bought the loading shovel. At that point, I think another tractor, I priced it. It was say 130 grand. So I need 2 of those.
Yeah.
So that's 260 grand.
And it's the staff's the worst bit.
And it's the staff for it. So, and I need to keep them 2 on the pit all the time to keep everything moving. So the shovel can work on its own unless I go to a right big pit. We'll put a tractor on for rolling. But equally that tractor can come off there and go to a long haul.
Yeah.
So I'm quite self-sufficient. I don't, unless I've got a really big long haul, I don't need to have to phone anybody in. I'll just say, Andrew, right, you jump off, do these faraway fields, we're going to hold them back, and then you go back on and help Andrew again. And that's generally where we try and work it. But the loading shovel, yeah, it's a lot of money, but I believe it saves a lot of money.
Yeah, I think you explained it earlier.
Because I can put silage in a lot quicker as well.
Yeah.
Because I've got trailers sitting there waiting to get tipped.
Yep.
Can they're in, they're away, and the farmer, he'll take a 16-ton silage trailer load away in one go.
Yeah.
And that's 3 or 4 pushes with a tractor butt rake.
Yeah. Oh,
to do that. So it doesn't, that's, but it to get your price of silage up, for example, is really hard. Now, I've had price increases every year since I started. It's not matched what the increased machinery is.
Yeah.
Right, but it's going up.
Effectively, you're making less each
I'm
year.
absorbing some of the cost, and equally the customer's absorbing some of the cost as well. I couldn't physically pass on everything because, like, they couldn't do it. So it wouldn't work. So, like I said, the loading shovel, when me being able to get that silage in faster, I'm cutting down on talking sake. Normally that job would take 20 hours chopping. I've not quite half that, but I've knocked 5 or 6 hours of my chopping time off because I can get it done quicker. So 5 or 6 hours over 6, 7, 8 men, depending on the job. So I'm saving on labour, but equally I'm getting on to the next job and I'm able to bring in, do more work.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, the quicker you do it, the less, I suppose, the more efficient it is, less man hours.
Definitely.
You can pass that on to the customer as well.
And it's not just much that, it's less depreciation of machinery. So there's less hours on the machinery, for example.
Yeah.
Know what I mean? So over the whole season, maybe I'm doing more work, but I'm doing the job quicker.
Yeah.
So all your tractors and machinery is all done in hours. So if there's, at the end of that season, if there's 100 hours less on each tractor, over 8 tractors, 800 hours, even talking sake, if you've done your running costs, or your base running costs at say £15 a clock hour, that's a lot of money. So it is just on that. Then you've got it in where you've got your tyres, and so you're putting silage in faster, but you're still doing the job right because you've got the right machine. It's the weight.
Yeah.
We're leaving a tidy job, and it's saving.
It's good on camera too. It's quite
Definitely.
sexy.
No, it is good.
Yeah.
And how much roughly does it cost for a farmer to get a silage done?
So it's obviously we charge per acre. There's other ways out there. Some folk are doing it per hour. Some folk, I believe, down south are doing it per tonne. So I think this year we were about, I think it was 57.50 was what we were for multi-cut farmers, and your single cut beef guys, they were £65 an acre.
Right.
For it, just it's heavier,
Massive
and it's
big
just
cuts.
so technically.
Never usually as nice a setup. Either.
No, it's, believe it or not, it's easier to chop.
Oh, is it?
It has it easier because the grass is like older and it's dead. So
Okay.
it actually
That's
it cuts
strong.
far easier. Like your first cut and second cut, even third cut stuff, is horrendous. Again,
Is
it's
it?
right rich and it's harder to chop. It's sorer than the chopper, believe it or not.
I would honestly would never. I thought some of these big beef cuts would be just a nightmare for the chopper.
No, I like it. See, as long as if it's wet, then
Yeah.
single cut's horrendous. But see, dry, it flies through the chopper. It's
almost
easy.
like hay, right enough. Aye.
But when you look at it, like, so what a first cut and second cut, they're paying £57.50 per acre. So that's like my 3 trailers about right. They're on up machine chopper. What they're paying, they probably feel as if they're hard done to, because a single cut guy's paying 65 because they put a lot more grass through, which there's probably a wee bit of that in there. Probably where the dairy boys are is fine. The lots need to go up, but the beef boys probably should be
but
a good bit more.
essentially,
But it's-
essentially, you're like Robin Hood. You're taking from the rich and giving to the poor by doing that.
Aye,
Dairy farmers are rude.
it's a
You're
really
taking from the dairy farmers and giving to the beef.
it's a hard one, but the dairy farming side of things, like, it's harder to chop, but it's fat. It's a
Yeah,
lot
it's
sorer
interesting.
on the machinery.
Yeah.
I find that.
Well, and I just the limited silage I've been involved in with one thing with your lighter multi cuts is it's stressful because the speed, everything's faster and the speed of everything. You know, whereas your heavier cut, you're as much as it chops easier, you're at a bit of a slower pace.
Yeah.
that was always one thing I thought. And just to touch back on the pit thing, this is the last kind of compliment I'll pass on that way, is that I always just thought it was, I mean, I've never driven a buck rake, but I've sat in with the man buck raking. It's just such it's exhausting how stressful, how much concentration you need all the time.
There is, the load and shovel takes a lot of that away. The load and shovel
That's made that a lot easier.
Far more relaxed. You're sitting
One
there.
problem was it was this with the buck rake.
Aye, looking over your shoulder, or
all
even
day, all day.
or when it was on the front of your tractor, you were flying at it. Again, you were racing at it to try and keep
spinning.
up. Whereas Andrew just sits in there and he's fairly laid back.
Yeah.
It's never under
I always
any
just find
pressure.
even the fact like you're up in a bloody tractor or a big loader, like even when I was sitting as passenger, you know, you're up in this bloody pit, rolling round the edge of a wall. Like I mean, for me it was a terrifying thing because I'd never been that high up in a tractor, and you're like, Jesus Christ, if you go here, it's like.
I've came in before when we're finished and I've watched them and I've had to look away. I'm like, I can't look at that. Like that's.
As the employer, you cannot.
Yeah, it's an art. To be honest, it is an art. See
It's
somebody
terrifying,
who's
man.
good in a butt rake, like doing that job through every contractor, like anybody who can do that and put that shape on it as an art, and I take my hat after them. I really do.
I want to watch it. I want to see it.
You can see
It's
it on
impressive.
Grassmen and Farmflix. I think I've done.
For how it starts off and nothing to get in that shape about it, and I've just got a different way of working. My cousin works with, he likes his sides
Square.
fairly square and steep. I think it's got its benefits. If you imagine, like when you bring your sides in like this, there's less weight on the sides, so there's more chance of waste on the sides. Where we keep it fairly steep, so you've got less of an area for waste, but you've all this weight on top of it, pushing it down.
Yep.
So that's how he works, and he can get a lot more in a pit by keeping it wider.
By going steep, yeah.
But a lot of some folk work with a kind of dome over top of it. That in itself, that's a bit of a technique, to be honest with you, to get that dome on it. But that's hard with like us, because we've got a 16-foot wide butt rake, and the pit's not wide enough to try and get a dome on that. Some folk ask for it so the water runs off the top of their sheet, but that's quite hard when you're working with that with a butt rake on the front of it.
And why would people do it in a silage pit rather than bale it?
Cost.
It's cheaper.
Yeah, yep. So wrap is a fortune.
Right, okay.
So you'll maybe see some folk third cut, they'll bale it up because I think anything over 5 bales to the acre, it's cheaper to chop it as it is to.
Right, okay.
Because
So
it's
for
paid
a
per
very
bale.
line third cut, we'll just bale it.
As you're talking, say, I think bales this year were like we double wrap everything. We'll let one customer single wraps. I think about $10.50 per bale. Got rolling up on top of that and diesel.
That's not counting the mowing or anything else. That's just you and the baler.
Just the baler,
Is this like
wrap
a big
it,
fusion
wrap
thing?
work, we work with a fusion and a crone. Just same
What's the
idea.
best?
Up to another crone has been.
Oh, is it?
has
Interesting.
been,
I thought fusion was the go-to.
Fusions.
Alistair will like that. Is it?
Fusion's a bit like a John Deere. So for years and years and years, there's been a John Deere man. It's John Deere, class forager. It's what everybody's had for years. What my grandpa had. Class was the best, but there's so much more competition out there now, and the gap has closed massively.
But again, a baler, like, I mean, I love all this. Like, a baler's like 70 grand, is it not? I mean, how much are they balers?
But more than that now.
Is it?
The last one I bought, what was it? I think that was 64, but I got that as a demonstrator at the time.
This would
But
be
a
used
bit more than that. I reckon it'll be 80 grand, easy. A fusion will be 80 grand.
80 grand to make bales for £10.
So
Plus you
per
pay the wrap.
bale-
That's including you paying the wrap.
Aye, so I think it was 10.50 a bale.
10.50 and you're supplying the wrap.
Spine that up.
So how many bales do you have to bale before you make your money back?
Well, they never make their money back. It's not about that.
Well, that's actually something that so my first 5 years of doing silage, I done started silage and bought a forager in 2019. So first year chopping silage was 2020. I didn't have any customers. I went into this thinking how we'll do it. I done 600 acre my first year, and then obviously I took over John Lamont and kind of other contractors I've gave up over the years, so which has allowed us to get to this size. But now it's a 5-year plan. Everything's been bought and paid for over 5 years. Final payment of the chopper was yesterday. That's it. It's done. Granted, I'm changing it.
What do you mean actually yesterday? Yes, as in?
Yep, 1st of November was my final payment on my forager.
Oh, was it?
Aye,
There we go.
so that was it, done. I don't like changing things. They've got to be bought and paid for, and then I'll change it after that.
yeah.
I'll not change it until I've done that.
How much? I'm saying you don't make any money from the bales
Aye.
and from buying these machines, so how does it work? Because they hold value too. Although it's 70 grand or 80 grand, it's like it's always got a value.
It's got a value. It's got a resale value.
Do you know what I mean? Even if it's only worth 30, well, now you're only at 50 grand it's cost because you can trade it in for 30.
But you'll still have had to make 50 grand from baling.
Yeah.
For it to make sense.
Yeah. I know.
And it's really hard because you've got to. So that
A lot of it doesn't
that's
make
kind of
sense.
where I was trying to get to. So I've yet to try. This is something I need to work out now because for years, so I've had my agricultural side. There's my tractor's doing construction. There's a gritting and there's a lorry. So I'm not going to split the business up. That is not going to happen. But what I want to do is I want to sit down and say, what does gritting generate me?
Mm-hmm.
What does the 8-wheeler lorry generate me? What does slurry generate? Baling and silage and other what we do. I want to try and somehow not separate it, but I want to try and break it down and say, like, this is what this brings in.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it cost me. That's what it's made.
Yeah.
To see where is there anything in my business is it not working, and that's carrying that because that can't happen. So that's something. But in my first 5 years of doing it, it's always going to go into the one pot. But I want to see just what's working and what's
Of course,
not.
but that comes back to like we started the podcast with, like, you're terrible at paperwork, same as me. It's like that takes what you're talking about. It takes a lot of sitting down, a lot of working out, a lot of spending time when there's always another job to do.
Definitely. So that's where, like, my partner's been great. She's been really pushing me that, like, we need to do it, and help me do it. So I think she's quite keen as well to try and help me to try and work this out because it is important.
Oh, absolutely.
It's quite a...
Definitely.
The paperwork
if you
side...
drop one of them off because they'll just cost you money, then everything improves.
But this is far bigger than I ever expected to be. I didn't expect to be...
I was going to ask you that.
Like, to go from where I started buying my first forager in 2019, the first season was 2020, Chopin Silage.
Like 4 years ago.
So it's done 5 seasons. That's what I've done. And we've went from chopping nothing to this year was 5,500 acre.
Yeah.
Running 2 slurry systems, 2 balers. Like it's a big thing. So the business is actually out. It's grew. It's too big. It's not too big for me. I can run it, no bother.
But it's too big for you.
It's too big to do it all on my own.
Yeah, not be doing the paperwork right.
Yeah,
because it's just a disaster.
And see, the gritting side of it, is that like it's a separate contract with the council?
Yeah, so we've done the grit now for 7-8 years. It goes out to tender, got to tender for it. And the gritting...
What does that mean?
So it's just a full tender process. So with the council code, it's public spend.
Right.
It can't just be like Cammy goes in there and says, right, I'm going to do that for £10 or cheaper than Michael Woods.
Okay.
It can't just do that because it's got to go through. It's
to be they basically say, we want this work done. Yep. Send us your price. And they have to show, the guy arranging Michael to do it has to be able to show his boss if he ever gets challenged on it. Here's all the quotes we got. He was the cheapest, or he was slightly more expensive, but he offered X, Y, and Z that was better.
Right, okay.
And that's why it was a fair process, not just because he could go in with an envelope and say, here's a brown envelope.
So equally, Cammy could be £10 an hour dearer than me. And I'm like, why is he getting the work and I'm cheaper? But Cammy's giving that man half of that £10 an hour in cash. Because that is a big thing. It's massive.
The whole world in some ways. Oh, that's basically how politics works. Like, look at Michelle Mone as a prime example. Like, that was how all that works. You get like a whatever £1 billion contract for making PPE that didn't even work, just because of who you know, and you go and speak to the right guy and you make the right promise.
It's right through every industry.
It's okay when it's in politics.
Oh, yeah.
It's not okay when it's lower down. It's just a mad world.
It is something that they do try and curb. Like, it is a big thing now. Like, if you're caught, it's a bribery, effectively.
Yeah.
So if you are caught doing it, it's a major... you get dismissed for a lot of places, but they'll never stop it. There's ways around everything.
No. And that's why you always take a second envelope in case you do get caught. And then you say, we could do that, or you could just forget you ever saw anything, mate.
So
you always have a backup envelope.
I learned so much on you. And what is the money like for doing the gritting?
In a good winter, a cold winter, it's great. So it is, obviously, for me, the main thing about the gritting is it keeps my guys that I need for summer go in the winter. So in a cold winter, it's good because it generates quite a bit of income, and then like I build the shed at the yard, new workshop. I'll reinvest in things. In a mild winter, it's just a bit not worth doing.
Yeah.
But I've still got all the costs.
Yeah.
Still the insurance, like each lorry's
wages.
$2,000 a year to insure the lorry. So like you're $6,000. There's 3 lorries there, so there's $6,000 straight away just to insure it before you even turn the wheel. So there's still the getting the lorries up roadworthy. So you've still got to get them.
So it must have been quite a crap
Service.
winter last year, was it not? Because it's hardly any frost last year.
It was horrendous. It was. So I'm hoping. Generally, what I find is if you get a lot of cold weather very early in the season. So my gritting season started 2 weeks early this year.
Right.
So it's the 16th October is when it normally starts, and it's a 26-week contract right through. So it's technically half a year.
Yeah,
You're on call for the gritting. So like 2 weeks early, and that has not. If I've found in previous years, if it's too cold too early, it fizzles out. But if it stays mild enough, it generally, when it comes cold, it stays cold, and you get a good run at it.
I think most of us as farmers would want some cold weather, because like there's lots of negatives to this mild weather. Okay, the grass creeps a bit, but everything gets wet as hell. Liver fluke's an issue. Schmallenberg being down south is an issue. Blue tongue is spreading about because it's mild.
Pneumonia are the new, just by, I think it's
lungworm with cattle, because it's so mild and they're out. Their wormers worn off. I was following a vet on social media. Their wormers worn off, and now they're out already a fortnight longer than usual. But the guys can't really get them in there now because it's too mild, and they'll be too. I think it's just get sweated up and get pneumonia coming into the shed on a warm day like this.
My brother, he had to go and get like big fans in his shed, blowing through the shed, just trying to keep the airflow. It's not normally the growth now, grass growth. I mean, probably as much grass growth now as it was all summer. It's ridiculous.
How green things have got this last fortnight is, well, great for me who's sheep at winter and wants to keep them going. Like, it's good for that side, but yeah, the big worry is that liver fluke thing, because I spoke to the vet again about the sheep side, and they reckon it's going to be a right bad winter for liver fluke, so be wary of that one, folks. But we should say, like, we can't talk about all this equipment and all this stuff without, like what is your weapon of choice? Like, guys, you guys love, like, colours, and I'm only taking it back just because I'm not interested in it. I know, I'm not upset. You guys love, like, what is it? If it's not red, leave it in the shed. That's a common. I was talking about quotes people put on jumpers. Is that that one? If it's not red, leave it in the shed.
Not red, leave it in the shed.
I don't know.
So who's red?
Massey Ferguson's.
Right.
I'm quite good. I know.
And like John Deere, he's green.
If it ain't, I don't know what some of the sayings are, some of the slogans.
Have you seen that one? I can't say it on here on social media. Have you seen that one about on TikTok? It's a voiceover and it's an American guy. That's what it feels like to drive a new Massey Ferguson 4S. Have you seen that one? No, I'll send you that later. I can't put it on here. Sorry, folks.
There's lots of them in Grassmen. They're fantastic when you see, like, even farm flicks, like, they all do really, really well with their merchandise, some of the slogans, and like, folk love it. So they.
I get the passion for it. I absolutely understand it. It's no different than people that love Top Gear in their cars. It's just the farmer version. But what is your weapon of choice? What kind of cars do you drive? What kind of tractors are you on?
So it's all case. It's all case. All from Ramsey and Jackson's.
They're a dark red colour, are they?
We've only got one dark red. That's a limited edition. I've got one tractor. I'll never sell that.
Right. Okay.
That's my own one. I'll never sell that. And I bought 2 older tractors. So one was I call it a Maxim 5150 Pro. That was my grandpa ran a fleet of them, his contracting fleet, so that's more of a kind of sentimental thing. And then for some reason, for a wee boy, before I was even involved in buying tractors, just a wee guy, I had a 1455 case. Something about them, I always wanted one, and I bought one of them. So I've got
and you use them? Can they work? Or they just...
I know they can use them. My 1455, I was getting some internal work done on when I bought it. It had the paint job and it looked absolutely minted, but it had some internal gremlins. So
yeah, money to
spend.
Cost
a bit of money to spend.
What colour is that? I've lost it already. Was it a class track? What
case?
Case tractors.
So they're all red.
Are they? They are red.
Everything's red. So I try and get a bit of kind of colour scheme going. So Silage trailers are all sort of red and yellow. Tankers are
so are they like Marshalls?
Heron.
Okay.
Majority of my trailers are Heron. Other trailers are NC, they're red. Like I hate working odd numbers. So everything's in the yard. So I've got 4 tankers, 4 silage trailers.
I would be like that. I totally get
that. 4
dump
trailers, there's 3 loaders. That's a problem. So that's a problem.
What, 3 of those big loaders?
3.
What do you mean 3 loaders?
3 loaders, like for the back of the tractor. trailers.
What, like silage trailers?
No, like flatbeds with ramps on them for shifting machines.
Oh, like a low loader, sorry, yeah.
Low loaders, so like, it's annoying, so it is. There's 2 run-up machines, there's only 1 tedder, so there's there's things that it drives, I don't know what it is with me again, and even in the yard, there's numbers on the trailers, numbers on the tankers, and see if they put them the wrong way around a bit. I can't help it, I go daft about it. I'm so laid back, I let the boys away with absolute murder, and then when it comes to the yard, and then see if it's, and I don't know how hard it is. They come in, granted it's at night and it's dark. Granted at night when it's dark, right, fair enough, come in and abandon it. But then they set them off and they're sitting squint and fucking hell, I've just built all this tidy yard and you guys can't, it's even numbered. Like,
I know.
Like, you know where you put it out in the morning, so why not put it back there?
Aye.
And that sounds so stupid, but it's just something. See when you come out, I walk for the front of the house and I come back round into the yard and it's all sitting there, it's all rolled up. And you just see it and it's like 1, 2, 4, 3. Honestly,
Will you jump in and move them?
I'll get them to move them. I'll see if I come back at that day, then fair enough. But see for a week and I come round and I see it every day and I'll get that swapped on a bit. It drives me insane.
Yeah. But then tidy yard, tidy mind.
It's just the way I am. I just like everything tidy, but I'm the same when it comes to a job.
Yeah.
Like I get quite, like the job's got to be tidy. Like I like when I come out of a farm, you finish a field, I like shutting the gates.
Yeah.
There's a bit of closure.
Yeah.
You finish that job and they just close a gate.
Yep.
There's nothing
And
worse.
the farmers will appreciate that. Like, I don't think it's a bad trait in a contractor at all. Just a bit of
You've got-
be a bit meticulous. And
You've got to take pride in what you do. Like, I love what I do. We can all moan and say we hate our job. Like farming's it's a hard thing to be involved in. I would say like there is tough times, but it's the same throughout every job. Like we could all moan about the weather, nothing we can do about it. Like farming can be poor. There's costs are spiraling out of control, but yeah, it's what we do.
Yeah.
I spoke about that yesterday. Working at it's so hard to explain. Like it's just farming is just so hard to explain. We're just sick.
It is really hard to explain. Like it's one of the things, and we can moan about it, but nothing's going to change. It's everybody.
Did the boys say that to you when you're going about the numbers and the way they've part? Listen, you can moan about it.
They're
still going to do it.
But I reckon when I walk away, they'll probably flip behind me.
There's no probably. There's no probably about it.
Honestly, they probably think they don't see.
You don't see the Snapchat chat stories that are like.
100%. And my CB in the chopper, that's turned off. I can't listen to it. Like I can't. I'm on the phone all the time, so I turn it off and I don't bother. Like, but it is a hard thing. Like,
and what's the chopper? It's
a crone.
So it's a crone. Okay.
It's a crone.
Crone's quite sexy, eh? Like I see some of they do like pure blacked out stuff and all that. They do quite.
Where they can change it, and like I've got tinted windows on my forager, and it's not to try and it's not like a boy racer. It's for the sun. Yeah. Like I used to when I drove the class before down this arm. Used to get badly sunburnt. Yeah. You could feel the heat in your arm. It was roasting. Yeah. And you see it in America, like maybe it's America, California, and they are fully blacked out.
Really?
So it is, and that they can actually order that from the factory, and they come blacked out, but not in the UK.
Yeah, okay.
They'll not send it because of legality.
It's illegal, is it, on the road?
Illegal.
Yeah.
So I took the windows and doors out my forager, and they got tinted, and it's great. It's a bit duller. And it's a nicer place to sit, to be honest. It's not as bright, so. Yeah, I do. Done it with loading shovel as well for Andrew. Can that's get the side windows, I can tint it, a back window, and like in a sun strip. So as well, and it's just to try and. It's all to do with comfort.
I've seen when you're sitting hours and hours on end. Yeah,
it's a long season. Like there is, and our seasons nowhere near as long as what. Like down in England, they've got a far longer season. Can they start in April with chopping silage, and they continue right through to May and November. And they've got a far bigger seasons what we have. We've got.
In bigger areas.
Aye, technically there's nobody in April chopping silage here. It's generally into May, you finish in September. That's it. It's a very, very short season to make all that.
The team at Knockreevach will be getting upset at you not mentioning them. They always chop. I don't know who does theirs,
they always do a wee bit quite early. They've got a kind of and a rye. I'm sure they've got a grass that grows fairly quick.
Do they? I just know. I don't think this year right enough because this year was shocking in April. But I know
that's
previous
right.
years.
Aye, they're the only ones in this area. Aye, and I'm quite sure they sometimes bail it early on. I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay.
I've seen it on Facebook actually. Aye, sorry.
Yeah. No, we'll need to get them in for a chat about their system actually because they're quite different as well. In terms of we've talked about grass a lot, but what about like the arable side of things? You don't have a combine, do you?
Don't have a combine.
Why not?
And so there's Ian Smith, Cumbers Mains, who he is in this area. He's the guy. He's got 3 combines. He supplies. He does a ploughing, does a one pass, and he's obviously been here a long time. So at this stage, there's no room. You wouldn't to go and buy a combine. You need to do the plough, you need to do the one pass, you need to do the complete job, which we could do, but there's not that opening there.
Yeah.
But there was no opening when you started doing grass.
But there kind of was, because I knew I had to go over from John Lamont.
Yeah, okay.
So I knew that was coming. We were going to do that, but nobody else knew that. At the time I ran my first season, we were too late to do this sort of thing with John at the time. So done my first season, and then into second season, like
you knew it was coming.
We knew that that was coming, and it was more me doing my first season was more so folk knew that I wasn't a one hit wonder.
Okay.
Because if I just remember my first season, who is this guy? I don't know who this guy. They know my grandpa, or I know about my background.
Family. Yeah.
That would have helped. Maybe not in some places. Depends
who you ask.
Depends who you ask. So that I obviously knew that. So that was a bit of security for me, knowing that was there, that was coming. Yeah, because I fell flat on his face as well, because John was going to be giving up for 15 years. He'd been saying every year, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this again. That's I'm giving up. But eventually he did do it, and I was fortunate that was my opening.
I had to take that work on.
You couldn't without somebody giving up. There's just physically impossible.
Yeah.
You need to do it for
get enough to justify the men, the equipment.
The ones who would, if you went in and it was based on price, the ones that jumped to you for price, didn't want them anyway.
Yeah.
Because they're not good customers.
If they're phoning you saying, I've got this man, but you do it for a $5 less, then you don't want them anyway.
And they're not the loyalty. So if they're good enough to do that, there's no loyalty.
Yeah.
Loyalty's a big thing. Farmers are very loyal. I'll say there's a lot. One thing about farmers, you can't take it from, they are loyal.
Yeah.
Very
absolutely
loyal.
are. I mean, just from my point of view, from like shearing and scanning and that, like, as I always say, take scanning for a prime example, and shearing as well. Like, folk will go about taking work off them in X, Y, and Z, but you never, you don't take work off other folk. They lose the work.
They lose the work.
They lose the work. Like, they're either the scanning's going wrong, or they've got a bad attitude, or they don't turn up. Shearing's the same. They're sending boys or girls that are too rough and they're not making a good job. You're not taking the work off them. No. They've lost that work. You just happen to be the guy that gets it.
Honesty's a big thing. See, if you say to a farmer, like, there's no way, I physically, I cannot get there. If you get somebody else to go and do it, get them to do it, they'll come back to you again. You don't lose them. See, as long as you're honest with them, honest. I mean, if I say I'm going to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning, I will be there. And if there's any delay at all, I will phone them.
That's huge.
You've got to be honest, because if they're going to be loyal to you, you need to work with them. Like, you really have. Like, I'd rather be... Aye.
And most of them are good payers, you said earlier. You get paid okay?
Yeah.
Fast enough?
I'm very fortunate, to be honest with you. That's probably another thing, another reason as to why I've been so lackadaisical with my invoicing.
Because you know they'll pay you.
Because I know they'll do it, but it's not fair as well.
It's not because you don't need the money.
No, well...
I find I do a lot of invoices when things are getting tight.
Well, that's generally why I end up having to do it when you need the money in.
And then it's a case of texting them going, send you that invoice, by the way, can you have a wee look immediately?
My construction stuff, there's a timesheet for it. It's so simple. Like, you've got an invoice for the previous week, you do click copy, change the timesheet number. If there's any hours difference, you change that, and then so that generally kind of keeps things sort of going. But it's not fair on farmers either, because then instead of them getting a bill every month for work been done, I'm sending them bills I've done work for 3 months, 4 months.
So then they've
got this bigger bill. So it's not fair. So I do need to change it. Some farmers might not like it, because I'm going to be invoicing probably a lot sooner now, and I'm like, oh, here's all these bills coming in, but it all equates to the same at the end of the day, and it's better if it's out. It's easier for them to pay some smaller bills when they can, and then when they've got money coming in, like selling sheep, selling like the milk check comes in, or like beef. It's all different. Everybody's got their own time of year, they'll calve at different times, or lamb at different times, so everybody's got different stages of the year when they get their income.
Yeah. No, speaking of that delay in invoicing and sending them a big invoice, I did send your cousin James an invoice for 2 years shearing the other day. and it was a lot.
That's
more.
all right.
It was. I was like, I was like, I'm looking forward to getting paid that. That's quite a lot. That came to quite a lot of money.
When he bought it to James,
I think he spent it on buying a Charlie Bull last week or something like that.
That just pocket change to him, so it's
easy, innit? Easy. So no, we'll chase him down for that at some point. So do you use Zero? No, I use Zero.
It's QuickBooks I use.
Same
it's similar. It's a good thing. I want to put something bigger and better in place. Okay. There's different software things out there. Again, it's time setting it up. So
money as well.
Partner's going to help.
Money. Like the software itself will cost money.
It does cost money, but I'm a great believer of you need to spend money to make money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, clearly.
I really am. So there's things that I want to fit onto the forager that's going to help my invoicing side of things. Like I quite often need to sit and phone a farmer. What acres did we do? Generally the same as last year. There's an extra field, whatever, but I want to do like field mapping on the forager so that I want to fit things on.
And you can link that to the invoicing?
Yep, change all that. But there's other things out there as well where I could send all my guys jobs from an app. They get their job, so whenever they leave the yard, click start. Then you get back at night, click finish. They can put notes in at downtime, and then that is all then pings back. But there's lots of different things out there to help you. It's just the initial setting it up. And for me to set that up is really hard. There is folk out there that they go through stages of say, well, we'll do the setup cost for nothing. So it's just trying to find the right time. But my invoicing was that far behind. I need to get caught up. Before I can do anything, I need to get caught up. So I'm hoping this month 100%. Every single invoice that I possibly can will be out, and then keep on top of it with smaller amounts. So the winter there's generally not so much farm work; it's just the construction and the gritting. And I will try and bring a new system in place for next year. I need to improve it.
I got into a habit. I know yours is a lot more complicated, more moving parts, but I've got into a habit with, generally speaking, with shearing and scanning. As I just send an invoice as I'm leaving. I literally just jump on Zero because then I know exactly how many sheep I did. Because I'm terrible. I just take photos of the screen. I don't write anything down. So then I've got to go flick back and see where did I WhatsApp the farmer he's scanning was, or where did we shear. So I'll just, as I'm leaving the farmyard, 300 sheep at X amount, boom, it's sent. And quite often they've got the invoice. And I found that so much better.
I said I was going to do that, but I didn't.
Because you're on you can't, because the next guy's phone you going, when are you coming here, or can you come and do this? Your phone will be here all the time.
Aye, it's constant, it's never ending. But if it was silage, if I could drop silage all year round, it's actually really easy because it's just acres. Bills going, it's covered 6, 7, 8 men depending on the job. All the guys are all covered for on that one job. But when you start, there's cutting, like there's tedding, there's baling, rolling up, carting, stacking.
And a lot of it you're not at.
No, I'm not there.
You're sending men to do the job, so you can't.
I'm quite reliant on the guys putting it on the group chat, exactly what they've done, the times, and again, you need them to be truthful. Because equally, whatever they write down gets passed on to the customer. So they've got quite a responsibility as well to make sure that what they put in that group chat is accurate. Even diesel usage, sometimes most diesel is supplied by the farmer. Quite often we need to supply diesel because they've run out of diesel, or horsey customers, they don't have diesel, so we supply it. So they need to be very accurate when it comes to it. So it's quite they just work for me. They're a massive part of my business. Without my customers and my staff, I'm a nobody. Can I make that very clear? Like customers and staff equally. Without my guys, I'm nobody.
You're back working for QTS.
Pretty much, aye. It's a big thing. Like they play a big role. So they in the business. Like without them, it's just impossible.
Yeah. I like that you're now using this podcast as a way of sending them a message directly. Like be honest. And
park the machinery in the right bit.
Park the bloody machinery.
Oh, definitely.
So,
look at state yourselves. It's not that hard.
Most foragers don't supply sheep and cattle with enough cobalt, copper, iodine and selenium, critical to digestion, immunity, reproduction and growth. When it comes to supplementation, there's a danger of under or oversupply. But when bolusing with Animax Tracesure, you can be sure every animal has enough for up to 6 months in one single application. Animax. Give in what it takes.
We always end podcasts with a quiz. All right,
okay.
Putting you under pressure here. There's some names on there that we've done so far. Okay. Don't be distracted by that. The questions can be bloody hard, let me tell you.
Yes.
Not that I want to terrify you. But before we do that, I think I should ask before we end, like, where is the future for Michael Wood's contracting? Where's the future? And are you looking for more work all the time?
Yeah, they're always, you can always take on more work, but I don't want to be
the guy that takes it off other people.
Yeah, and I certainly don't want to be going away out my depth. I'm not saying out my depth. I'm more than capable. I could probably run 2 or 3 squads, no bother. But it's a headache. It's double the headache. It's double the problem.
Yeah.
I like being involved in most operations, to be honest with you, because I can oversee it.
Yep.
If there's something wrong, I can sort it. If I was 3 times the size, I couldn't be at all these jobs. So is the work going to be done the way I want it done? Probably not, unless I get the good guys to do it. So there is spaces there where we could fit things in. I think in years to come, there's going to be plenty of opportunities for the business to grow. I don't know how somebody else would manage to get started now. Because I know where I started with 0% finance and working on the railway, getting the money behind me. But I don't know how folk come in with machine prices now, interest rates are up, the state, everything's in.
So really what you're saying there is all you need is, I mean, you touched on Ian there, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth at all, but I get the impression that if Ian was to say, right, that's me, I'm giving up, there's going to be a massive gap in the market for that side of things. Like you're essentially, your next big move is someone local gives up and there's a big black hole to fill.
But I don't have, like, combining season, there's an opportunity there. For example, silage wise, we're already doing a big chunk of work. So
especially with the weather.
If another contractor gave up, talks that we're doing 5,000 acre, I can't take that on. I've got gaps there. Like I go back my diary and say, right, over the last 3 or 4 years, what dates have I not dropped silage? When do you normally go? Right, I could probably fit you in, but I don't. Maybe take on more that way, a bit more slurry.
Yeah, in fairness, I'm saying take on. I think what would happen in that case is it would just get disseminated amongst contractors, wouldn't it? You know, some folk would phone you, some folk would phone other boys. You know, it would just get split up that way.
I look at I took on majority of John's work at the time. Didn't really lose any of that. It was only a couple of customers we didn't get. Seaton, they gave up, and I think I got 2 of their customers. And a massive customer base, so that it does get diluted up quite a bit. Some folk buy a budget wagon, some other contractors out there, they'll do it. And then Duncan Logan gave up, massive contractor. James and Mayer stopped chopping silage as well. We've gained work off of each of those contractors, but it wasn't thousands of acres. So it does again.
But then a steady drip's the best way for you because it gives you time to build around it. It's a terrifying thing if you get 3,000, 2,000 acres in a one phone call.
I think you could get carried away. I think if you could go out there and say it's easy to buy equipment. Finance is probably fairly easy to get. It's easier than getting a mortgage. Easy for you because you're a proven. Anyone looking at you, you've proven you can do it. Aye, it can be done. And it is a big thing. But back when I first done it, there was so much 0% finance, and even without 0%, the interest was so low that I was able to. It was easy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But now, I mean, I just don't know how MD would do it now. I mean, I'm even sitting back at times. Normally, if I want to buy something, I'll just dive straight in there, buy it, worry about it later. Like that's just how I've always kind of worked. Whereas now, like it's like slow down a bit here. Like you really need to be careful because you could get yourself tied into knots. Have you ever missed your payments? Have you ever got yourself in a spot through court or anything really where you've been like, shit, I was offered overstretched here? Or I was offered from JCB at the time payment breaks. Didn't take them. I was happy that it was there if I wanted it. But I've never done it because my plan was always a 5-year plan. End of my 5 years, everything I bought for silage had to be bought and paid for. So end of my 5, it's got to be. So that's my final payment, my 12 forager. So in a way, I've kind of succeeded at it because I've done what I said I was going to do. So in the next 5 years is where I'll look at things totally differently for what the first 5 years was just everything gets lumped in. Like I bought Mary Hagan, I bought the extra ground next door to it, so I put a massive noose round my neck. In my 5th year, this has been my tightest year, by far.
Yeah, because you've got a farm mortgage to pay as well.
Farm mortgage to pay, yep. But it takes time to get that to work for itself. So
how many acres on that farm? How many acres?
So I bought 100 with Mary Hagan, and then there was 53 with Sunnyside. That was a farm for sale, so I've got 153 acres now.
Good. And that's just that bit. That's where I got that sheep that was counting its back, was it?
That's right,
I didn't even realise that was yours.
That was mine.
Because I said I've no idea whose farm this is. There you go.
So it just takes time for me to get, again, just when I bought it to now, Mary Hagan's kind of starting to pay for itself now, like renting the land out, making bail, selling it for.
Do you not have any of your own stock?
No, I did my first year. I had 16 acre, but I didn't have rented it out. So bought some beasts through UA. They come in.
Realise it lost you money.
No, I actually made a couple of grand that year.
Oh, did you?
And I bought them at, well, I can't remember the girl's name again. Claire. So Claire at UA at Stirling.
Okay.
I was busy at Silage. She bought them. She just said, right, they'll do. Like, but they were top money at that point. Cattle was ridiculous. So I think it was like £3.30 a kilo when we bought them. But when I sold them, it was £3.10 a kilo. But they put on that much weight. So I think I'd done on my feeding and went, no, I made £2,000 out of my 16 beasts. So, but if I'd lost one of them, like on that scale, if I'd lost one of those, I made nothing.
There's no money. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So, and it is scary.
Yeah. Better to rent it out, definitely.
Definitely.
So, no, listen, fantastic chat. We have this quiz to do. We like to do this because we might have a grand final at the end of the year. You could be in it. You never know. Have you seen these questions?
Yeah, no, not really.
Okay, so you don't know if they're good or bad. No. We use the same source for the questions every week, so it's random as hell. Some are easy, some are tricky.
You can pass.
You can just say pass if you don't know it. Don't waste loads of time thinking if you've no idea. That's the mistake I made a little bit.
Are you timing?
I'm going to time.
Right, you tell me when.
So yes, I will tell you when. So 3, 2, 1, go.
Anyone Can Fall in Love is the title of the theme tune of which British soap?
Pass.
EastEnders. What is the first name of the father of English model and photographer Brooklyn Beckham?
David.
Yes. The Ballad of John and Yoko was the final UK #1 single for which band?
Pass.
The Beatles. Which is the only day of the week with 9 letters in its name?
Tuesday.
Wednesday. By area, which is the largest county in England?
County. Oh, jinx. I don't know. Pass.
Auricular muscles are found in which part of the human body?
Auricular.
I know the not even really a name.
Pass.
Ear.
I don't know.
Frank Skinner teamed up with which English comedian to write the lyrics to the song Three Lions?
Pass.
By population, which is the second largest city in Russia?
Krakow.
St. Petersburg. This one's good. Which car maker produced the Focus, Mondeo and Fiesta models?
Ford.
Yes. Eric Theodore Cartman appears in which animated TV series?
Oh, I should know that.
Say the name again.
Eric Theodore Cartman.
Oh, pass. I don't know.
South Park.
Can't remember. I don't know.
Tripoli is the capital of which North African country?
Pass.
Which footballer commentator spoke the legendary line, "Some people are born on the pitch, they think it's all over, it is now"?
Oh, pass.
Kenneth Wolstenholme. Which American comic actor played the title role in the 1996 film Happy Gilmore?
Adam Sandler.
Yes. To make Rocky Road ice cream is mixed with chopped nuts, chocolate chips, and which other sweet food stuff?
Marshmallow.
Yes. Which word immediately precedes Queen in the opening line of the British national anthem?
Pass. I don't know.
Gracious.
Time.
Holy smokes.
Only 4.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, I think they were tough.
They were
It
tough.
was a tough week, man.
Ah, jinx.
What was there was one you didn't tell me the answer to that I wanted to know.
Was there?
The Cartman one, I knew Cartman.
Should you not do these based on, like,
Farming.
so I do contracting, so do it on contracting, do farming.
Do I understand you.
Honestly,
I know.
see-
Do you know the problem is, I tried to do a farming quiz thing, And it was just like, I was using like Chat GPT to do a farming quiz thing. And the problem was, it just bloody repeated the questions after. And a lot of them were inaccurate too, because it's just taking random stuff off Google and it wasn't accurate.
I honestly don't really see anything out with what I
What
do.
you know.
I don't pay attention to it.
It's all right.
It's crazy.
That's part of the challenge of all. Plus, it's good for the boys to see that. Because you've slagged them off a bit, so it's good.
I'm absolutely hopeless at quizzes.
It's all good. You've got your strength, man. You're a grafter. You've built up a big business, which is very impressive. It's going to go from strength to strength, I think. But yeah, we covered all the sexy equipment and stuff like that. We'll add clips in from, I'll just rip them off of Grassmen and Farmflix. They won't mind, I'm sure.
There's probably lots that I have missed that it's quite a big thing for where we started to it.
It's insane.
But you couldn't write it. I don't think it's. Yeah, there's a fair bit in it. Grafting for me at the time, a lot of luck, just folk giving up at the right time, right place, right time, having the balls to do it. I think, and making that commitment. It's not been easy. It's been tough, but it's worked out.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So I appreciate you coming in, giving us your time today, and we'll keep in touch. I might need silage done someday.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Definitely, thank you.
And we're back. Good informative podcast. Did you learn anything?
Yeah, I learned loads. I knew nothing about anything to do with machinery.
No, to be fair, I know very, very little either. I know some of the colours of the tractors, and that's about
it.
Yeah. I love the explanation about why the big shovel is good.
Yep.
I never really thought about it that way in terms of, saving another tractor, saving
Makes
more
sense.
wages. Yeah, it does. I see a lot of them about now. Those big
Do you?
ones. Yeah. I'll maybe get a shot in one time.
Maybe.
Make a good video. I'll
Yeah,
go and
it would.
me try to roll a pit.
Yeah.
For 130, 40
Oh,
grand.
that would scare me.
Yeah.
Also, I just feel like good on him. Like he's worked his way up and done it all himself, and
No, absolutely.
Respect.
The day shift, night shift on the railway. Good way to earn a pound. He's obviously invested it well. Got in some good contracts there. I think it'll open some people's eyes up to how you can make a pound through the winter. Get into these sites and on these building jobs. He's building forward. Good on him. Andrew Nisbet will love his wee shout out as well. He owes me a beer now. That's us for this week, I think. Anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up, Iona?
no, I'm happy.
Okay, yeah, and it's fantastic weather this week as well.
I know this is my favourite. See, like
So
cold
mild.
and sunny.
Ah, but it's
No, it's
so-
cold today.
Oh, but it's mild from November.
Is it?
It's like 10 degrees.
Well, not this morning when I was up.
Was it not?
No.
You got up earlier than me. I was late home. And on that note, I will head away. We'll both head away. I've been Cammy.
I've been Iona.
Lost my track there. And we are all
Fed by farmers.